It's shorts. It's shorts. I'm not taking a picture. It's a video. So people can understand what happens in class. Who has a vagina? Oh, I need to do this now, don't I? Crap. Well, obviously, C.
Just do 10.
I'm just gonna do them all because you know what? Ow!
Oh my god, I heard that. Oh goodness. It didn't sound right. I heard that crap.
I'm definitely gonna ask him when I find the laptop.
Ow! I'll ask him for you. Michael, why do you like me? Davis wants to know. Keep. Is the death penalty effective? No, senor. Senor. Is our election process fair? No, senor. The colleges put too much stock in a standardized text. C.
Is torture ever acceptable?
Exactly. Is torture ever acceptable?
And then there's one where
Can I write that?
Yeah.
you care for your keep teens.
No. We should want to do this.
I know.
Circumstances. Hey, be nice. Should men get paternity leave from work? No. Need money somehow. They're not the ones pushing the babies out of their vaginas. Silly men. You don't have those. You pay paternity leave for the mother is ceasing. I know. That's okay. Do you have fair taxation system? No, senor. Do curfews keep teens out of trouble? No, senor. I'm
She's been abducted by the devil.
That's nothing.
No, you know what? You died when you were a baby, and now, and now a demon is in obsession of you, so and controlling your body.
Is cheating out of control? No, senor. You can control whether you fuck another woman.
I think they didn't test why.
I don't care. Are we too dependent on computers?
Yes.
Si, senor. No, senor. Animals should not be used for research. Are cell phones dangerous? No, senor. Law enforcement cameras and invasion of privacy. Si, senor. Are test scores a good indication of a school's competency? No, senor. What?
Because the school overall does really bad job on the test, you obviously could really good at teaching.
Or your school's full of retards. Do we have a throwaway society? I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
C. Is child behavior worse than it was years ago?
We are
C.
entering into this work on
More.
basically
She
the big
companies market to
issues.
children.
We're going to be exploring a number of different elements of persuasion over the next couple of days. We'll be looking at a famous American literature historical speech. We'll be looking at contemporary speeches, and we will be writing eventually. By the end of this week, you'll have a topic, and you'll be starting to brainstorm and outline a persuasive argument of your own. All right? So that's where we're headed, and this is just the beginning of it. So right now, what I'd like to do is open the floor to sharing the vast table issues. I know at your tables,
That's the stupidest question
a little bit,
ever.
talking to each other about some of them. But
Ceasing.
just by, raising hands and saying which topic and what you thought, and then other people, if you have, if you also responded to a similar topic, whether it is living.
Your face is too big.
So, if somebody else has agree or disagree opinion with that same one, they get first preference on hand raised. So be like, oh, I have, I want to go off of that one. And we'll just kind of bounce around the room and do that. All right? So who's got one that wants to share? Go ahead, Adrian. We're listening to each other, please.
Okay, so the first one I answered was number 9. Do turkeys eat teens out of trouble? I said no, because trouble can still be made before the turkey.
Oh, there you go.
So, alright.
It's made after curfew too. It's called walking.
Yeah.
Or even if, like,
They can't stop you from doing that.
do the opposite of what their parents say anyways. So they might just...
Be home at 11. I'll be back at 2:30.
Really show at 2:30.
How many people
Depends
responded
if I'm
to
going
the,
out at night with a
curfew
guy
one,
or not.
just in general?
Because we hang out by the rivers all the time.
All
I don't
right.
listen to my curfew.
Another one, and it's good to say the number like Avery did and read what it is so we know we can look at it. What's another one? Come on, let's go through last one. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I answered number 21 because, and I figured I'd actually do this one because it really confused me when I read it. Does access to condoms lead to irresponsible, dangerous, or bad behavior? And personally, I think no, because it's a safe thing to use. So I don't see how it would be like irresponsible. I feel like that's kind of not a good way to put
Does anyone want to take the other side of that of how it might
Anyone?
be seen? Even if you don't agree, but how might it be seen as
really.
leading to irresponsible, dangerous, or bad behavior?
You end up pregnant, or that could be dangerous. Sometimes
That's why you use a condom.
women get health issues. And
That's why you use one. Then you don't have a baby. There's no babies.
But
This is the other side. Yeah. So, and then...
It's a very
this is exactly the kind of thing that we're going to be doing.
That makes it worse.
You want to think about the other side of the argument, and it's important to be able to articulate the argument and not be mumbling while.
No babies.
Plus, it could be seen as irresponsible if you can like at a really young age. So, like, that could be seen like a super irresponsible or bad behavior.
Anyone else want to ask that? So I think that a lot, and I know this from just working in high schools, that a lot of the argument is that if condoms are made available, that it then promotes premarital sex or,
Good for all you Christians out there who don't have premarital sex. I'm pretty sure every teenager has premarital sex, except for Katie, because she doesn't have a vagina. Because I feel like you would never ever sleep with a
that it's going to
man.
happen anyway, so you might as well make them available so people are
You don't like men either. You don't like women either.
And again, this is not just for the sake of the argument of this topic, but it's sort of the way
Is college
we're
worth
going to
the
deal with
money?
arguments. Statistically, there are statistics that then on both
No,
sides of the argument
senor.
would back up the yes and the no. So statistically, they're not always effective and you can still get pregnant or whatever. And then also statistically, they do obviously reduce pregnancy.
have a certain
so you've got
opinion.
statistics on either side. So it's a debatable issue. But there
I
is
did
that other
all
side.
of that.
So I just wanted to clarify that. All right, another one. Go ahead.
29, since I can vouch for this pretty well, are there benefits to attending a single-sex school? I said yes, because you have more time to focus on yourself and kind of be yourself and not worry about reactions of other people of the opposite sex.
Sex
Because
is
it is
awesome.
intimidating at times. I definitely felt that way coming into not a single-sex school.
It's a very sex-oriented
you definitely have
class.
more comfort
It's
in
English.
a single-sex school.
Less of that distraction. Right?
Yeah.
So actually it's something that's a little different, but I have to admit that this weekend I started reading a book that was popular. And I assume it still is.
No senor. See?
I started reading Twilight over the weekend.
Horrible storyline.
Well, and so my friends say I'm going to the dark side. And all that,
So there was this Yahoo Answers about this girl who was ranting about Sirius Black and how he turns into a werewolf. And she said it was a ripoff of Jacob Black and
Like, there's
Twilight.
all this school time.
And the
then
most
what,
likely answer
all
for
she
that
can
question
think about,
was,
all she
are
can
you
focus on
retarded?
is Edward. And I'm like, is that what's going on around me? Like,
You get to talk to sparkly vampires. Don't you feel great about yourself?
The boys and the girls situation or whatever. And so I think that kind of that's the same.
Welcome to teenagehood.
Right.
It's all about the sex.
All right, more issues. Let's get hear from you.
I guess I'll do.
Go ahead. You can have more, but
Damn.
Number 15, organized stores are good indicators that schools all the same.
I said no because like not all students will like pay attention during the lesson and they won't do good on their tests, and that's not necessarily the teacher's fault, but it's their fault.
yes, and I think test scores too, and also means like standardized test scores. So if you were having to talk about like MCAS, what would that still fit into your argument?
Well, I mean, yeah, because you learn that stuff like in school too. So.
And then there's also, people don't test well and get stressed out or have that strength or whatever. All right, more? Go ahead, what's up?
Number 17, they traveled to easy work 21 years ago. And I said, yeah, definitely. Like, our parents, I feel like, had a lot more, like, discipline in their lives. Like, they were, like, I know my parents were really strict, and, like, they were
My butt got spanked so many times.
how my parents are today. If you look at kids, they're allowed to do a lot of stuff that, like,
It's on my face.
back in the day would have, like, never, ever been allowed to do. So I feel like kids are a little bit
Want that one randomly. I'm sitting here playing with my neighbor.
Like,
I'm playing with my
my
giant
parents
dog.
always talk about how they would have to work so much. Yeah, you see that some now, but it's not as heavily as work because you have your parents to take care of you, I think. And along with, like, transportation, my parents would talk about walking like a billion blocks to school, and then we would think about that as like, oh, you're pregnant.
Well, there was not always public busing.
Yeah.
So how do you think that happens? How do you think it changed? Why do you think your parents are more lenient than their parents were?
Because they're on crack.
Crack. So what's important, so let's take it to response first because this was her topic. What's important is that if you've got something to say, raise your hand so that everybody can get and hear it. Okay?
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying like kids, like my parents, like hit them or like people's grandparents hit their kids, but they were definitely like more like strict. Like they had a lot more discipline in their lives, and I think that's like kind of like looked down upon today, kind of like it's just like the government and the society, and like we can't. I don't know. It's just you can't like put it in perspective. There's just like a higher. People have like I feel like people have like a higher standard for their kids, and the other thing is too like a lot of the moms used to stay home, and so they like had more time with their kids, and like told them what was right, what wasn't right, and today everybody's working, so they're kind of like more focused on their jobs and money and all that.
Right, and then you can also talk about economy in that too. Both parents have to work today. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think a lot has changed because education is a lot more important now, I think, because even with people with college degrees in education still have a hard time getting jobs when they're older. So I think that schools really heavily influence other than work, it just is kind of different from years ago as far as getting perspective from their parents and more encouraging them. So I think that education really instills a lot more important than it was back then.
Other thoughts on it? It's pretty complicated issue.
Okay, this is too, I don't know, I mean, it's might be kind of unrelated, but I don't know. My mom works at like a restaurant, she has like a lot of patients and a lot of patients, and like back in the day, like whatever, a long time ago, like drugs weren't really like available. I mean, they were, but not as heavy as they are today. I think there's like a lot of things that don't see kids when they used to.
Well, I think my parents were the 60s generation, and that, in my mind, is what changed a lot of schooling, and because they were the baby boomers, and they were like bigger than their parents, and they were them, and they were like this like the youth should have power and this whole thing, and that was their whole belief. And they were part of like what reform schools in the 70s and 80s and a lot of things, and they were the ones that were like, not that I disagree, but that were like, oh, you know, teachers shouldn't hit their students, and then it was like in the 80s, it's like parents shouldn't hit their kids and all that sort of stuff. And then that was also the time of television and everything, and it became consumerism. Like kids became a huge market, and all that together suddenly changed the youth movement in this country. And it became like, it just changed everything. And then my mother like complains about it when I like talk about my job, and so she's like, I can't believe kids today that